Ri and Kim's chauffeur from the North Korean military crossed the Tumen River a day after they were detained. He was a 33-year-old loyalist who had been serving Baekdu's blood vessel closely for 5 years. Kim Joo-ae, who was smiling brightly on the TV screen, was shocked to see the bare face behind it. Threats such as, "Do you want to die?" came out from a child's mouth, and abusive language such as, "Foolish boy," and "Foolish boy," were commonplace. Ri was slapped on the cheek by Ri for buying ice cream a little late. And he was detained with his family without electricity or water. The next day, while I was waiting for the shot to be executed, I decided to defect to the north. I had to penetrate the ironclad guard. Gunshots rang out from the back. How on earth did he succeed in this impossible escape? Hello, I'm a North Korean defector who came to South Korea a year ago. I still can't believe I can speak freely like this. Just 5 years ago, I held what was considered the most prestigious position in North Korea. I'm from Pyongyang. My grandfather's service during the Korean War allowed our family to settle there. I enlisted at 18 and after serving 10 years, I was promoted to lieutenant colonel. At 28, I was transferred to the Guard Command, initially handling general security duties. I received several commendations over 5 years. My superiors trusted me. It was October 2019. I was suddenly summoned. The director said, "You've been selected as the dedicated driver for Madam Ri Sol-ju and Comrade Kim Joo-ae." A thrill ran through my body. Directly serving the supreme leader's family was the greatest honor in North Korea. When I told my wife, she cried, "Honey, we can finally live well." We held our young son and prepared a modest dinner. That night, we were truly happy. On my first day, my palms were drenched with sweat. I made a resolution: do well. Don't make any mistakes. I can't forget meeting Madam Ri Sol-ju. The gentle smile from TV was nowhere to be found. "You're the new driver?" Her voice was cold as ice. "Yes, my name is Ri Jung-ho. It's an honor, madam." She got in the car without responding. That afternoon, I drove Kim Joo-ae for the first time. She was still a child, but her eyes were unusual. "Mister, go faster. I'm bored." She spoke in a commanding tone. "Yes, Miss Kim Joo-ae. I'll drive carefully." The child giggled. "Miss? You called me miss? Do you want to die, mister? You're addressing Joseon's princess so casually. Are you crazy?" Cold sweat ran down my spine. That day, I had to kneel and open the car door to prove I wasn't crazy and didn't want to die, to a 12-year-old child. That evening I told my wife, "Honey, I think we need to be careful." Back then, I didn't know that this was just the beginning. What I would experience over the next 5 years. It didn't take long to realize the place I'd entered wasn't the highest position in North Korea, but the most terrifying one. The Guard Command is the most powerful organization. Even generals are careful around us. I reported at 6 a.m. daily. The car had to be spotless. If there was even a speck of dust, I'd get scolded. Security agent Seo Dong-min and a secretary always rode with us. At first I was glad to have colleagues, but I soon realized we were monitoring each other. Seo Dong-min once whispered, "Comrade Jung-ho, don't speak about what you see and hear here. Your life could be in danger." About a month in, Madam Ri Sol-ju went to inspect a military unit. The soldiers welcomed her enthusiastically, but one soldier accidentally fell. Her expression hardened instantly. "How can you call such a dog a soldier? Take him away immediately." Her voice was cold. The soldier was dragged away. I heard later he was sent to a coal mine. Just for falling. The car fell silent. No one spoke. Kim Joo-ae was worse. She'd constantly yell, "You stupid bastard," and, "Can't you go faster?" Once when I braked suddenly because the car ahead stopped, Kim Joo-ae shouted, "You son of a bitch." Those words from a 12-year-old child's mouth. After work, my whole body felt heavy. My wife would ask, "Honey, is it hard?" I'd shake my head. "No, just tired." I couldn't tell her. One wrong word could endanger our family. Everything is controlled in North Korea. You can't go to other cities without travel permits. Even Pyongyang residents don't receive proper rations. They do business at markets to survive, but markets are heavily monitored. If caught with Korean drama USBs, you face 5 years in labor camps. The privileged class is different. Guard command people receive special rations, rice, oil, meat. While ordinary citizens struggle with corn porridge, we ate white rice. At first I thought it was natural since we served the supreme dignity. But as time passed, it felt strange. I saw too much in Madame Rie's car: foreign luxury bags, Swiss watches, French cosmetics. One day, the trunk was full of dollar bills. Too many to count. Kim Joo-ae was the same. Her ice cream was Italian. All her clothes were foreign brands. Once she threw away a perfectly good doll saying, "This is no good. Buy me a new one." That one doll could feed a family for a month. I became friendly with a dedicated cook who said carefully, "Comrade Jung-ho, what we see is secret. We must bury it in our hearts for life." Her eyes were full of fear. After coming to Korea, I go to marts and am amazed. In North Korea, getting one bag of rice meant searching markets for days. Here you can buy it anytime. Back then I didn't know that people starve not because of drought or sanctions, but because those at the top take everything. Every morning I'd sigh, "What will happen today?" But I endured, thinking of my wife and son. Just endure a little more. That's how I deceived myself each day. In March 2020, I witnessed the most shocking scene of my life. That day, Madame Ri Sol-ju went to see an art troupe performance at Mansudae Art Theater. On the way back, she suddenly said, "Isn't that the girl who missed the pitch last time?" A young woman about 20 was walking. The secretary confirmed, "Yes, Madam. Ri Myung-wei from Silver Star Troupe." Madame Ri smiled coldly. The level drops when girls like that take the stage. Handle her. Handle her. I knew what those words meant. Days later, I heard that woman was sent to a coal mine for missing a pitch once. My hands trembled, but I had to grip the steering wheel and endure. In July 2020, something even more horrific happened. Kim Joo-ae visited a children's camp on Pyongyang's outskirts. A girl there tried to give her a bouquet but stumbled. The bouquet fell. Kim Joo-ae screamed, "You stupid bitch. Did you plan to embarrass me?" The girl appeared about 8 years old. Terrified, she started crying. "I'm sorry, Comrade Joo-ae." Kim Joo-ae kicked the girl, who fell over. "You send something like that to camp? What do her parents do?" I heard later the girl's father was fired. One mistake destroyed an entire family. The most unforgettable was May 2021. We visited Kongjian Comprehensive Military Academy. Madame Ri Sol-ju and Kim Joo-ae went together to inspect the training grounds. A lieutenant stuttered while giving his report. He seemed nervous. Madame Ri's expression hardened. "That's a military officer? Can't even speak properly?" Kim Joo-ae added, "Complete idiot. How did someone like that graduate?" Right there, the lieutenant had his rank insignia torn off. A month later, I heard he was executed by firing squad at the shooting range behind the academy. The charge was anti-party, anti-revolutionary elements. In reality, all he did was stutter. In the car, I couldn't say anything. I felt like I'd vomit if I opened my mouth. Seo Dong-min's face was pale too. That day we couldn't look at each other. That evening I came home. My son ran up and hugged me. "Daddy." I held him tight. I felt like crying. This child has to live in that kind of world. In February 2022, I accompanied Madame Ri to a gathering with friends at an upscale restaurant. The stories I heard were truly shocking. Joo-ae doesn't study enough these days, Madame Ri said. A woman laughed, "But isn't Comrade Joo-ae a genius? She's on TV every day." Madame Ri scoffed. "That's all made up. In reality, she doesn't study and just plays games. But so what? She'll inherit everything anyway." I heard everything from the car. I was shocked. Everyday TV praised Kim Joo-ae's genius. Despite her young age, she understands nuclear physics and outstanding insight into economic policy. It was all lies. Once Kim Joo-ae visited a nuclear facility in November 2022. Scientists gave explanations. She just yawned. On the way back she said, "That was so boring I thought I'd die. Why do they take me to places like that?" That evening, news reported, Comrade Kim Joo-ae provided important guidance on nuclear technology development. I wanted to turn off the TV but couldn't in front of my wife. As these incidents accumulated, something inside me slowly crumbled. At first I thought this was natural because they're the supreme leader's family. But as time passed, I began to question, is this really right? Can people treat people like this? But I couldn't speak out. One wrong word could endanger my family. So I endured, even while suffering nightmares every night. From early 2022, strange rumors started circulating. These were stories I learned as I gradually became closer with Comrade Park, the dedicated cook. "Comrade Jung-ho, I'm telling you this carefully," Comrade Park said quietly from the kitchen. "There's a reason Madame Ri Solju's eldest son isn't made public. That child is special. They say he has an intellectual disability. He can't even eat properly by himself. That's why he never appears in public." It was shocking. TV praises the greatness of the Paektu bloodline every day, but in reality there was this secret. Then the successor, I asked carefully. Comrade Park spoke even more quietly. "There's Comrade Yun Song-wal's son. I think his name is Kim Yong-ju. That child is very smart. That's why Madame Ri Solju is under a lot of stress. Her son has a disability while Yun Song-wal's son is fine." Suddenly it made sense. Why Madame Ri was so cold and sharp. Why she pushed Kim Ju-ae forward so much. She was anxious about being pushed out in the succession structure. After that, I had complicated feelings whenever I saw Madame Ri. I hated her but also felt sorry for her. But that didn't justify what she'd done to others. Meanwhile, Pyongyang's streets were gradually changing. Markets were growing. Money masters emerged. People who made money through business. In summer 2022, I drove a money master who was an acquaintance of Madame Ri. He wore a luxury bag and gold watch. From their conversation, I learned he did smuggling trade with China. "Madam, I got good products this time. French cosmetics," the money master said obsequiously. Madame Ri showed interest. "How much?" "For you, madam, a special price. $500. $500. A year's wages for an ordinary North Korean worker." Madame Ri didn't hesitate. "Good. Bring it." Korean wave content was also secretly spreading. USB drives with South Korean dramas circulated. The crackdown was severe, but they couldn't stop it. Some security agents would turn a blind eye if you paid bribes. In early 2023, an official got caught watching South Korean dramas. He was sentenced to 5 years in a labor camp, but his family paid a $10,000 bribe. He was released after just 3 months. Money solved everything. There was no law or principle. With money you could buy travel permits and avoid punishment. Without money, you'd starve or get dragged away. The classes were completely divided. The core class lived well with privileges. The wavering class barely got by. But the hostile class lived in hell. Once I had business in Hworyong, North Hamgyong Province in August 2023. I can't forget what I saw there. Children were rummaging through garbage looking for food. Some were so thin they were just bones. In the car, Kim Ju-ae said, "Why do those kids live like that?" Madame Ri replied, "Because they're lazy. That's what happens when you don't work hard." I gripped the steering wheel tight. Anger surged up, but I had to endure. On the way back to Pyongyang, I thought, is this really socialism? In a country where people are supposed to be the masters, why do people starve while the Paektu bloodline lives in luxury? After coming to Korea, I learned what the real problem was. North Korea's poverty isn't because of sanctions. It's because those at the top take everything. Everyday TV cursed imperialism and blamed America for our suffering. But in reality, what tormented us wasn't America, it was the Paektu bloodline itself. The moment I realized that fact, my worldview collapsed. It was an afternoon in November 2023. I didn't know that day would completely change my life. Kim Ju-ae suddenly said, "Mister, buy me that ice cream I like." "Hurry," I replied politely. "Yes, Comrade Ju-ae. I'll be right back." I was heading to the department store when my phone suddenly rang. It was my wife. "Honey, something terrible happened. Our son fell down the stairs and can't move." My mind went blank. My son, my precious son was hurt. I hesitated for 2 seconds. Then I turned the car around and rushed to my son. When I arrived home, my 6-year-old son was lying on the floor crying. It looked like he'd hurt his leg. I quickly picked him up and rushed to the hospital. On the way, I stopped at a pharmacy to buy medicine and bandages. In North Korean hospitals, patients have to bring their own supplies to get treatment. The doctor examined him and said, "Fortunately, it's not a fracture. But he can't move for a while." I sighed with relief. But that was only momentary. When I checked my phone, there were 37 missed calls. All from the guard command. My heart sank. I hurriedly bought the ice cream and headed to the residence. 2 hours had already passed. As soon as I arrived, Kim Ju-ae screamed, "You stupid son of a bitch. Where were you? Why are you only coming now?" I bowed my head and tried to explain. "I'm sorry. My son was injured." But Kim Ju-ae wouldn't listen. "Don't make excuses. A bastard like you is worse than our house dog." Then she suddenly threw the ice cream at my face. Cold ice cream stuck to my face. But colder than that was Kim Ju-ae's gaze. That's when Madame Ri Sol-ju came down. After hearing the situation, her expression twisted. "What? You ignored our Ju-ae because of your kid? How can trash like this exist?" She suddenly slapped my cheek hard. My ears rang. "Get out now," Madame Ri's cold voice echoed. Before I could even move, security agents rushed over and dragged me away. I was confined to my home. They cut off our electricity and water. When I arrived home, my wife and son were terrified. "Honey, what happened?" my wife asked in a trembling voice. I couldn't answer. Night fell. In the pitch-dark house, our family huddled together. My son was too scared to even cry, and my wife was struggling not to lose her mind. The door opened and a security agent entered. He looked at me expressionlessly and said, "Ri Jung-ho, there will be an interrogation tomorrow morning. Be prepared." The door closed again. I fell into deep despair. Interrogation. I knew what that meant. Insulting the supreme leader's family was a capital offense. Sitting on the damp concrete floor, my whole body trembled. I was scared. Just imagining what would happen tomorrow morning was horrifying. I looked at my son sleeping, trusting his father. My wife had fallen asleep from exhaustion. Only I couldn't sleep. That's when one thought flashed through my mind. I can't die here. I can't end like this. Defection. That word came to mind. A word I'd never thought of before. I was a loyal soldier and loved my homeland. But now it was different. This country wasn't my country. A country where ice cream was more important than my injured son. A country where the Paektu bloodline was more important than the people. I couldn't protect my family in a place like this. I thought until dawn. How to get out? How to take my family with me? I made a plan. There was still a chance. I had to move before tomorrow morning's interrogation. As dawn broke, I made a decision. I would survive. I would protect my family. I would leave this hellish place. I'll never forget the faces of Ri Sol-ju and Kim Ju-ae I saw that night. Those cold gazes. That look that doesn't see people as people. Tomorrow morning, a new life would begin. It was around 4 a.m. I couldn't sleep and made plans. 12 hours had passed since being confined, but security agents were still guarding outside. One thought occurred to me. During my 5 years at the guard command, I'd learned about brokers who brought goods for high-ranking officials from China. One lived in Pyongyang, but I had no way to contact him. My phone was monitored and I couldn't go outside. My wife said carefully, "Should we ask our neighbor, Comrade Kim?" He was an ordinary worker who always treated us carefully. It was risky, but there was no other way. At 5 a.m., my wife secretly went next door. She returned 10 minutes later. "Comrade Kim said he'll help without asking questions." I felt relieved. Comrade Kim delivered my note to the broker, 3 people. Urgent. Have money. That afternoon, a reply came. Tonight at 11 p.m. Behind Chilshung Gate in Daedonggang District. $3,000 per person. $9,000. It was a lot, but I was prepared. I had exactly $12,000 saved from guard command allowances and bribes. The problem was how to get out. A security agent was guarding the door. But around 8 p.m., a miracle happened. Suddenly that agent complained of stomach pain. My stomach. His face turned pale and he collapsed. Another agent hurriedly took him to the hospital. I learned later that Comrade Kim had put laxatives in that agent's dinner. He risked his life to help us. I can never forget that kindness. At 10 p.m., our family left the house. I carried my son on my back and held my wife's hand. We moved carefully through back alleys. In Pyongyang, the control is so severe that just walking at night is dangerous. We arrived behind Chulshung Gate. A man was waiting. Comrade Ri Jung-ho? Yes, that's me. He looked around. Get in the car quickly. There's no time. It was an old truck. We had to hide in the cargo area. The man said, there are 3 checkpoints. Don't make any noise. The child can't cry either. I held my son tight. The truck departed. In the darkness, my wife and I made eye contact. A gaze mixed with fear and hope. There was no turning back. We passed the first 2 checkpoints safely. But the third was a problem. I'll check the back of the truck. A soldier's voice was heard. My heart was pounding. My son tried to move, so I covered his mouth. Footsteps approached. The cargo door opened. That's when the broker said loudly, "Comrade, have a cigarette." "It's a good one." Brief silence followed. "All right, I will." The door closed again. The truck started moving. About 30 minutes passed. The broker said, "No more checkpoints now. Soon we'll be at the border." I exhaled deeply. Around 2 a.m., the truck stopped. "You have to walk from here. It's 2 kilometers to the Tumen River." The broker opened the cargo door. "My job ends here. Once you cross the river, a Chinese broker will be waiting." I handed him the remaining $3,000. "Thank you." The broker nodded. "Survive. Good luck." We walked in the darkness. My son was asleep on my back, and my wife was gripping my hand tight. In the distance, I could hear the sound of flowing water. The Tumen River, the boundary line between freedom and death. I decided not to look back. I walked forward, looking only ahead. The faces of Ri Sol-ju and Kim Ju-ae came to mind, but I shook my head. They were no longer part of my life. A new life lay beyond that river. The Tumen River appeared before us. It was late November, so ice was starting to form but hadn't completely frozen. It was the most dangerous condition. We hid on the riverbank and surveyed the surroundings. A border post was about 500 meters away. I could see lights. A patrol passed by. My heart was pounding like crazy. My wife asked in a trembling voice, "Honey, can we really cross?" I squeezed her hand tight. "We can. For our son's sake." We waited about 15 minutes. The patrol moved away. Now was our chance. "Let's go." I carried my son on my back and went down to the river first. The moment my foot touched the water, I had to suppress a scream. It was freezing. The Tumen River in late November was below 0. When the water reached my ankles, I lost feeling. "Honey, come slowly. Be careful." My wife entered the water too. Her face turned white, but she gritted her teeth and walked. The water rose to my knees. My son woke up. "Daddy, it's cold. Just endure a little. We'll get to a warm place soon." It was a lie. China would be cold too. But I had to reassure him. We were about halfway across when suddenly a light shone on us. "There, it's defectors," the patrol shouted. "Hurry," I shouted. We started running, pushing through the water. The water rose to my thighs. My wife fell. "Honey." I lifted her with one hand. Bang! A gunshot rang out. Water splashed 3 meters away. Bang! Bang! Gunshots continued. "Mommy." My son started crying. "Duck." I buried my son's head in my shoulder. I ran with all my might. The water rose to my waist. My body felt paralyzed from the cold. 20 meters to the Chinese riverbank. 10 meters. Bang! A bullet grazed past me. My ears rang. Finally, my feet touched land. It was China. I crawled up the riverbank. My wife followed. We were gasping for breath. "This way." Chinese was heard from the darkness. A man gestured. It was a Chinese broker. "Hurry to the car." We staggered toward the car. As soon as we got in, it departed. Looking back, the North Korean patrol was standing on the other side of the river. They couldn't chase us anymore. We'd crossed the border. Inside the car, we were shivering. Our clothes were wet and freezing. My son kept crying. "It's okay, it's okay." My wife hugged our son. She was crying too. Just endure 30 minutes. We're going to a safe house. The broker said. He was ethnic Korean and spoke Korean. We arrived at a safe house, a small farmhouse. Change your clothes. There's hot water. An ajumma handed us towels and clothes. She was Korean Chinese. I washed with warm water. I realized I was alive. My wife and son also washed. My son fell asleep from exhaustion. Where do we go now? I asked the broker. To Laos. From there, you go to the Korean embassy. The cost is $3,000 more per person. $9,000. That was exactly how much I had left. Understood. I handed over the money. We had nothing left now. The journey began the next day. We traveled through inland China by bus for 3 days to Yunnan province. From there, we took another car toward the Laos border. We entered Laos and traveled for several more days. The broker took us to a church. Wait here for a week. We'll contact the Korean embassy. The pastor at the church took care of us. He gave us food and arranged a place to rest. You've had a hard time. It's okay now. You'll go to Korea soon. I teared up at his words. A week later, a Korean embassy official came. We will protect you as citizens of the Republic of Korea. The moment I heard those words, my knees buckled. We survived. Our family survived. In December 2024, we arrived at Incheon Airport. The moment we stepped on South Korean soil, my wife and I cried. My son asked, "Daddy, is this Korea?" "Yes, son. This is our new home." The cold water of the Tumen River, the gunshots grazing past our ears, all that terror. After enduring it all, we gained freedom. National Intelligence Service staff were waiting for us at Incheon Airport. You've worked hard. From now on, you'll go through an investigation process. I was tense but not afraid. We'd already overcome a life-threatening crisis. The NIS investigation lasted 3 weeks at a facility near Seoul. It was better than expected, a clean room with warm meals. Treatment unimaginable in North Korea. The investigator first asked about my defection route. I answered honestly, telling everything including the broker's name. You were affiliated with the Guard Command? The investigator looked surprised. Yes, I was the dedicated driver for Madam Ri Sol-ju and Comrade Kim Ju-ae. From then on, the questions became specific. What was Madam Ri Sol-ju's daily life like? What is Kim Ju-ae's actual appearance? Are there any stories you heard inside the Paektu bloodline? I told them everything I saw and heard. Kim Ju-ae's verbal abuse, Ri Sol-ju's coldness, the disability of the eldest son, the story about Yun Song-wol's son. The investigators took notes diligently. We'll verify your military service record. Lieutenant Colonel rank correct? Yes, I was a lieutenant colonel in the Korean People's Army. I served in the Guard Command for 5 years. The investigator nodded. Your testimony is quite detailed and credible. They were especially interested in Kim Ju-ae content. Is her appearance very different from what's shown on TV? Completely different. TV is all staged. In reality, she's just a spoiled child. The investigation ended after 3 weeks. You've worked hard. Now you'll go to Hanawan. The investigator offered a handshake. Thank you for your valuable testimony. I hope you settle well. Hanawan was in Ansung, Gyeonggi Province. We'd receive education for 3 months. When I arrived, I met other North Korean defectors, about 50 people. Many were from Hamgyong Province. The first day was orientation. Welcome everyone. For the next 12 weeks, you'll receive education on adapting to South Korean society. The education content was diverse, understanding Korean society, law, economy, employment, and culture. The most shocking was economics education. Korea has a capitalist market economy. You open bank accounts, use cards, and pay taxes. I didn't understand at first. We never learned these things in North Korea. We also learned how to use smartphones. This is the internet and this is YouTube. It was amazing. You could see information from all over the world in the palm of your hand. Something unimaginable in North Korea. The culture shock was huge too. You can buy things at convenience stores 24 hours. You can go anywhere by subway. When you go to the hospital, health insurance is applied. Everything was new. I talked with other defectors. Mr. Kim from North Hamgyong said, "Brother, I heard you're from the Guard Command?" That's impressive. I shook my head. It's not impressive. I just saw hell. I had nightmares every night. Kim Ju-ae's face. Ri Sol-ju's cold gaze. The gunshots at the Tumen River. I'd wake up in sweat. The counselor said, "It's trauma. You need time." 3 months passed. It was graduation day. Congratulations. Now start your new life as citizens of the Republic of Korea. I received settlement funds. Not much, but enough to start. I got a small 2-room apartment in Naeon District, Seoul. When I first received the keys, my hands trembled. Our home. Our own space. Something I couldn't even dream of in North Korea. I started preparing for employment. Because of my driving experience, I applied to a transportation company. You drove in North Korea? If you get a Korean driver's license, we can hire you. I got my license in a month. Now I work as a delivery driver. It's tough, but I'm happy. My son goes to elementary school and has made Korean friends. My wife works at a mart. It's an ordinary life, but I'm grateful. Sometimes I see Kim Ju-ae on the news with captions like, "Successor training," and "Genius leadership." I turn off the screen. I don't want to see anymore. It's too different from the truth I witnessed. It's been a year since I came to Korea. Now I want to tell the world my story. The real appearance of Ri Sol-ju and Kim Ju-ae. The true face of the Paik-tu bloodline. The suffering experienced by North Korean people. I survived. I crossed the Tumen River, dodged bullets, and gained freedom. But in North Korea, 25 million people are still suffering there. My son asked me, "Daddy, what's North Korea?" I answered, "It's where Daddy lived. But you don't need to live there. You were born in a free place." I'm grateful to the Republic of Korea for giving me freedom, opportunity, and the chance to start a new life. Now I'm a citizen of the Republic of Korea. I live proudly looking at the Taegukgi. Fellow North Koreans, don't lose hope. Beyond the Tumen River lies freedom. Someday, the day will come when we all enjoy freedom.